Hey, what's up? You are tuned in and back at the Bougie AF channel with your host, Shug Avery. I just got to the place in life I was just like, I don't know. I'm just bougie. Now let's get into the show.
Hey, what's up, y'all? You're tuned into the Bougie AF show. I was already chewing on this damn gummy bear. Anyway, I'm just sitting here on I got some chapstick popping on them haters. Alright, so I wanted to do this video today because I wanted to talk about, I'm sorry, before we get into that, if this is your first time to my channel, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But I wanted to do this video because I wanted to finally talk about the Ice Cube situation and everything that's been going on. So since I feel like everyone should be all caught up on what exactly Ice Cube is being not really accused of, what they're saying Ice Cube, but they were accusing him of supporting Trump, right? That they were accusing him of throwing his support behind Trump. So that led to a series of a whole bunch of people's responses, and there's a woman that responded that I actually want to I want to do, like, I want to show you her response to Ice Cube, which I thought was so disrespectful. I feel like you black people we don't own each other. We don't own our thoughts. We don't own any of that. So when I see people getting at Ice Cube as if though you have the right to tell this man how to feel, and we're all going through this together, I just feel like it's just ignorance. It's just ignorance. And then there's some people who were angry can't even grasp what he's talking about, right? I feel like you can really tell somebody who kind of follows, who knows what they're following and what they're listening to when it comes in regards to politics, than someone who's just blindly just going with the flow and just, not thinking about policies. They're not in it for that. Well, they're not thinking that deep about it, right? They just know they need to vote. They just know that they need to seem engaged because it's right now the hot thing. What is it, 18 days away or something like that? So I think, you can always tell who knows what they're talking about, who doesn't, basically. And like I said, who's just riding a wave and who just wants to do the popular thing at the moment. But the response that the woman gave to Ice Cube, I was just like, you didn't have to be that harsh. Like, you know what I mean? Be that nasty. This man is a legend for his thoughts outside of his music. We've looked to him for a lot of stuff. I can say me personally, my personal story on Cube is one of my top five in hip hop for me. So if you don't know, I used to do a podcast, and we used to do a lot of hip hop and stuff like that. And it was always a lot of conversation about top fives and rappers and stuff like that. So I have a lot of knowledge about rappers and stuff like that. And relates to history though too, because if you don't notice, I tie everything back into history when it comes to pop culture, like the history of it, and when I talk about it, stuff like that. Anyway, so where was I? Damn. What was I saying? Okay. He's in my top five. So Cube is one of my top fives, right? And for me, it was just always, if you listen to his music, that authority that he speaks with. And if you see me get mad, like I did on my Instagram video, go check that out. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, OG_Shug Avery. If you see me get mad like that, then you understand. Like, I have all of that in me. Like, I'm a Gemini, okay? You should understand, us Geminis, we have quite a bit of personality. So, but his was always in his raps, right? But they were just always he was just always intelligent. You could just tell he was just different. And I think for me, when I seen the NWA movie, I was not surprised because I had listened to a lot of his conversations, a lot of his interviews. I was not surprised to see that in the movie he was that person questioning everything, right? You get what I'm saying? Well, I remember that scene where he walked, and it was so poignant. I hope I said it right, but if I didn't, it's okay. But it was a scene where they walked Cube and who was the Weasel? Y'all know the Weasel that they were the white guy who they were doing business with. So they walked. So no, okay. So what was it? Cube and the rest of the crew walked into Easy E and the white guy sitting down and eating, but Cube and the rest of the crew had burgers. They were eating burgers, right? So they were coming in with their leftovers, and Easy E and the white man was sitting down at this like fine restaurant. I know that they did it to illustrate that Cube was saying, I'm sitting around looking and I'm eating these motherfucking burgers, and Easy E and this man sitting down. You know what I mean? You start to wonder about the accountant, about what's going on here. Why we not driving the same? Why we not? So I thought it was so dope to just see him always questioning. I thought it was dope to see that, you know, he was willing to walk away on his principles and in what he believed in. So for me, I always admired that about him. So if you ever hear anything about me, just know that point of reference are probably some of the people that I really, really admire. If you really want to think about who I am as a person, I will walk away from some shit. I don't let people you can't move me in the paint. You get what I'm saying? Especially when I know what I know, and I know what I'm talking about. You get what I'm saying? And I'm not one of those people that will sit back and just let you do whatever to me. And it's so funny. Okay, let me give you this example. It's so funny when it comes to Cube. I remember I had this opportunity to work with this like online station, and this was before. When did the movie come out? Let me take a look. Let me see. When was the movie? When did the movie come out? NWA. Okay, it came out April 2015. So this story could have been around that time or right before, right after, either or it could have been. And I remember, so I had this opportunity and we had to sign this paperwork, like this contract with them. And I just remember I was the one in the middle of the meeting. I don't give a fuck if it's an hour. You want my John Hancock, and I can't leave until I sign these papers. And you are mad because I'm being divisive and asking you questions about a contract that you want me to sign, and you think I'm doing too much. And it was so weird to me because it was like, and I feel like I think this came out. I think I was experiencing this after the movie came out. It was so weird to me because it was like we just seen this great example of this man telling you that question everything. Question when someone puts something in front of you. Like we see Dre go from death row to creating his own, and the contracts always, we've seen it. Like I don't even need to call out. Like we've seen it. Contracts is always, you always should read something in front of you. And so when you're always in a situation when you got your peoples around you thinking that, oh, what's wrong with you? You trying to be difficult. You trying to sell out. Who you think you better? And all this other stuff. But you're just doing what you know you're supposed to do. Period. My signature. Okay, let's go over this. So what this mean? So if I do my show here with you, do you own my show? I was already on it in 2015. Like that, thinking that way. But I'm just talking about the peer pressure. I'm just talking about the influence of seeing Ice Cube do that, and just know, that's what you're supposed to do. Stuff like that. So the man is really brilliant. I think he's been in our households in some capacity, even with music, if it was movies. I think for me, if I think about back into the '90s, and remember I told you John Singleton did a lot of his movies during that time. Ice Cube was one of the rappers that John Singleton gave a part to, that started his career in movies. And then he went from starring in movies to writing, directing, and having his own production company. So he was like the first gangsta rapper to ever like to just act and then just take it to where he has taken it. You know what I mean? With the writing of movies and stuff like that. So, like I said, he's very accomplished. He's been in our households in either way. If it wasn't music, it was movies, or TV, it was something. He was always doing something in some type of way, and everything that he did was culturally impactful, right? If you think about the Players Club, culturally impactful. You think about strippers, and then what strippers has manifest to being mainstream today, right? And just to see that, right, that story, and then the Friday movies. Got some of my favorite characters off of Friday movie, Cat Williams, like, and he did a great job. And I'm trying to think, because I always feel like certain people, especially rap artists, sometimes they are the first to do something for their neighborhood. And I feel like for me, I'm sorry, Ice Cube. And if I make a mistake going back and forth, I don't know why I'm so used to saying Dre and Ice Cube, so I could. But Ice Cube, I think it's the first person. I'll say Trick Daddy was the first person I feel like who really told what life was like. No, I can't say that. Trick in Florida, I would most definitely say that. But I feel like, I feel like Ice Cube was just more militant. He was just the first militant type of mindset when it came to talking about, fighting the power and racism and stuff like that. I don't know. Just very impactful. He's most definitely deserving of everything. So when I see people disrespect him, I'm just like, y'all idiots, you fucking idiots. And then I hate to even, one of the other things that aggravated me about Ice Cube was not about him, but in general, I felt like sometimes when I would see him on TV in his responses, and it was so lack of what, I don't know, I feel like I'm so used to what his energy is, and I don't know if he's doing that or if he was doing that because black men can be so easily labeled aggressive, but his energy was just different. It just wasn't, I don't know, it just was different. It's very lackluster of energy. I will say that. But I don't know if that, like I said, I don't know if that sometimes and I know how it feels to be in white spaces and to feel like, okay, breathe. And so sometimes it can take a lot of your personality out because you want to make sure that you're not coming off as aggressive or coming off a much a bit much, you know what I'm saying? So you want to make sure that you're not. So I got it. So I don't know, he just seemed different. So Ice Cube came out. So here's an article that I have here. Let me see. And this article is with Lovey Scott. And so this originally came out on October 14th, and this was Cube coming out, and this is what headlines were saying all across the board. On CNN and MSNBC, they were coming out and making it seem as though Ice Cube was coming out and supporting Trump, when in all actuality, he was just coming out and saying that, we have a great opportunity here to really make the Democrats to commit to doing something for the black community. We have a great opportunity to say, you know what, you want our vote, or we're what pushes you over. If the black community come out, then yeah, we want to make sure that what are we getting for this? What's the exchange? And I think a lot of times we're made to feel like, because we're always told to be more humble and all that other stuff, that we feel like we can't pipe up and say something like that, right? We feel like we're made to feel like, how dare you? How dare you see what's going on? It's always we being pushed to the back burner for what we want. Hold on one second. All right, sorry, I had to not restart, but I had to stop. So, Q feels like, and I hope I'm starting it back where I left off, but Q feels like at this point, you want our vote, you want us to come through, and numbers say that both sides need, the Republican Party needs the black community not to show out, and the Democratic Party needs the black community to really show out. You get what I'm saying? So at this present time, both parties needs the black community. Either way, right? They need the black community to do something for them in terms of for the outcome. So we're saying to both sides, okay, it's not necessarily that the Republican side don't want us to come out or vote, but of course, one side wants you to come out. Of course, they want you to come out. But what Cube is saying is, okay, but would you have something that you would offer the black community for our support? No one's ever said that the Republican Party has says that we came out and just said we hate black people. You hear what I'm saying? So he feels like, after going back and looking at the Democratic and the Republican Party and finding out more, traditionally, and seeing how we haven't flourished under neither party, he felt like, okay, then we need to take a more aggressive stance and really say to Joe Biden and say to Donald Trump, okay, what can you offer us? And everybody and every type of like lobbyists and every type of church group and every type of all these people you see who trek their behinds to Washington D.C. to get themselves in front of the president's face. It's all about, what can you do for me, right? And so and it's all for the votes, it's all for the support, right? So when you see a union come out and support a candidate, it's because they're looking at a candidate and seeing, okay, how could this candidate benefit the union's agenda? What can we get out of endorsing this candidate for us? And I think that's the same method that Cube is trying to say. We need to be on that same agenda, and we need to stop having this false sense of loyalty to either party, when the establishment, whites, and even some of the black establishment, aren't really in there trying to make the change that we necessarily need, right? I think I heard what's her name? I want to make sure again, her name, Simone. And I actually really like her because I remember when she was commentating on CNN. I think I seen an interview that she did or a conversation that she had with Fat Joe. Because if you went back and looked at the you looked at Donald Trump's town hall. That's the town hall I watch, right? Because I know what the other guy is saying, right? I'm going to make black again, make it black again, make America black again. I know what the other guy is trying to say. So it's like I don't really need to tune in there, but I need to tune in and watch this motherfucker, right? That's how I felt about it. So I tune in, and not by my surprise that a majority of the people, of course, it's Miami, Spanish, right? But not the majority of the people are the white Spanish people. You had to get into it. I'm looking at this like, look at these gringos. I hope I said the right word. But I'm like, look at these blancos. Because if the more you get into the Spanish culture, you know that there are some of them who know that they are like white European Spanish or white European. I'm just telling you, I'm going to do a Princess Nokia, and it was a good breakdown of it. But you just know that these aren't, urban Puerto Ricans or urban Spanish people at all. But anyway, back to what the other video I made, or when I was talking about voting and how there was such a big Spanish community in Florida. So I'm watching the debate and I'm seeing this, right? And I'm paying attention to what they're listing as is their occupation. Because what did I tell you guys? There are some people who are Spanish people, a lot of Spanish people who may not identify. I think one lady stood up, and I think she was the one with her daughter, and she was just saying, I think she was a doctor, right? I think there was doctors, there was an educator, but this is the face of that community that I was trying to tell you about that don't identify with us, that vote Trump. And so that's why I was saying that, we need to make sure, and something else that I seen, that we need to make sure, no, not people of color, not minorities, no, we need to know black people. What can you do for black people? Because again, what did I say before? Asian people and Asian people and Spanish people are a part of when they say minorities, right? It's not specific to us, that and we need specificality because our situation when it comes to our standing, our economic standing in this country is just even still different than the Spanish people and the Asian people who are getting to a bag. They're getting to a bag, more or less. I know. I go to the casino and I'm looking around. They get into the bag. You know what I'm saying? So it's just we know who's owning things, like who has businesses and stuff like that. So more or less, I don't know if I feel like Asian people and a lot of times the Spanish community, and which type of Spanish communities need to stop thinking that all Spanish people is here, when in actuality, just like black people, all black people aren't one way. We are diverse. We're not monolith. So it's the same thing in the Spanish community, right? So whew, it's a lot been going on, y'all. So yeah, I was just watching that debate, and I was just like, So back to Cube. So Cube is seeing all of this going on, and he was like, "Yo, stop! We need to stop thinking that our best interest is going to automatically be looked out because we have Kamala and Joe Biden, who tend to say that they want to do the right thing." By America and proxy by us, by us, right? That's what all that means, and we're just saying, nah, 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 nah. We don't love you like that no more. Yeah, because we're falling out of love at the idea that this party's gonna save us, and that's just that. I mean, even I've seen great videos breaking down Obama's presidency, and not to say that I'm an Obama stan, but there's something to be said about those numbers and all those different minority groups that he looked out that weren't black. There's you gotta talk about that. You know what I'm saying? You gotta talk about that. You gotta talk about that. So how it does seem as though he did move in a way that didn't necessarily do a lot to highlight and give a lot back to the black community. And so I think I tweeted today, it's just like, hey, yeah, we're gonna vote for Kamala and Biden, but just know that you better pay attention so the times change. You better talk to Elizabeth Warren. You better talk to Bernie Sanders a little bit more, because that's where the party is going if it's going to include the black community. Because why struggle? Why have solidarity and loyalty to a party and we're still struggling? That doesn't make sense. And that's not to say that you have to vote for the other side, but if we're not gonna progress, if we're not going to grow from our loyalty with you, we're just not going to show up. And that's just really what's going to happen. And that's not to say nobody wants to take themselves out of the process, because you have to be a part of the process to make change. But at the same time, we won't have y'all keep playing in our face. Cut the check. Back to the Simone thing. I think I've seen an interview or a little sit down she did on Instagram Live with Fat Joe, and she was just naming off all these great social programs that would help the Black community, blah 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 blah. And there was a lot of dope things. I want to say that, but I want to say, pay attention when someone is trying to give you the new deal, when you're trying to ask them for clear, direct. You know, we want the reparations. We're not gonna not say that. We're not gonna even feel like we're coming off as. We want clear, direct narratives and policies that speaks to us, and how can we benefit? How can we get from underneath all of this, right? So, you know, when someone throws at you a lot of programs and a lot of different ideas, you know, we don't want the new deal. Even when it comes to reparations, and the reason why, you know, it has to be a check, and you can't even say that it can't be a check. Is at the end of the day, you're not going to tie it into school. My aunties and them, they're not going back to school. There's an older generation that's not going back to school. But outside of that, we don't want to feel controlled. And it feels like control. Welfare feels like control. Subsidy housing feels like control. All of this feels like control. So when we talk about reparations and you paying us back for what you did, and you want to give us stipulations of, you know, what you would have to do to get this benefit from the country, no, that's more control. That's more control. That's more bigger government to manage that. People who will be getting these jobs that don't look like us, setting up all type of different type of programs, and all we're going to establish this and this and that, when you just can just cut the check. I don't want to be controlled. I don't want you to tell me to go back to school. Well, we're gonna do it, and we're gonna fold it into school. I don't want you to do that for me. I don't need you to do that when necessarily we are. Oh, sorry, y'all. I can't figure this. I mean, necessarily. Oh, I'm a mess. Oh, wait, did I fix it? Okay. So no, I didn't, but and necessarily, you know, I don't want to be controlled and told what to do at all. So you tie the reparations into school. Somebody falls. Haven't we been buying into that dream? Get an education, and you're gonna get jobs, and all this is gonna open up for you, and your income is just gonna double, and that's not happening for us, and that's the disconnect that you have to understand. So that's why you can't keep touting free education to us when we're saying, even with the education, we're still not getting what we're supposed to be getting. Fix that. Fix that. You're gonna throw out programs. That's a direct something that you have to fix. Wage equality in this country. Fix that. Nepotism in this country when it comes to corporate America and people and jobs and stuff like that. Privacy. People's privacy. You have to, Black people, because we do need something in there for Black people, because as technology advances, there's just things that are being held over Black people that aren't held over white people. And I can say that with confidence. And I know for me, it's my social media. I don't know what other people do on their social media. I don't go check other people's social media. What I do know is I don't mention my work on social media, so I don't quite understand why it seems that jobs are very interested in Black people's social media. I wouldn't say Black. I've been at jobs and they talk about looking up people and stuff like that. Is that across the board? Is that something we care about across the board when it comes to people? What they do in their personal life across the board? Is that stipulation across the board? And it just never really is when it comes to us, right? We'll be at work, and it's a problem if we're quiet and doing our job and just minding our business, just trying to come in and clock in 9 to 5. They come in and clock 9 to 5, don't say nothing, mind their business, leave and come, and nobody asks them nothing, try to figure out if they mad and angry, all this weird shit. What's wrong with you? Because I'm not coming to work shucking and jiving? And it's just that bullshit that we go through. So when you keep touting education, and we're just saying that there's all this other shit that we got to go through when it comes to going to work, and it's just not a me thing. There's so many examples of things I know of, like, you know, a lot of white women as boss. So, you know, we go through the Karens at work. I know a couple of Black homegirls. Yeah, we go through that. Mm-hmm. I speak like this at work. So like, so there's nothing for me to question. Someone being intimidated, that's just not our problem. But again, we keep told you gotta get that education and it's gonna change for you and da 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 doors is gonna open and da 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 you touting this education and all these loans and you start to look around, it's like, okay, I go get the education, it's not gonna guarantee I'm gonna be able to pay for these loans back and survive. That shit is not cheap. Huh. So now you want to put my reparations into education. Education system that again is ran by white people. So funding you guys back again in a way that is for you guys, right? That money goes back to colleges and universities, these big schools. That doesn't do anything for us. And I think ultimately that led to me feeling that, you know, Ice Cube, even though I think that his idea of wanting to want more for the black community, I think his mindset is the right mindset. I think that's where we need to be. That's where our minds need to be. The problem was with that was that he just was not familiar with the fact, and it's not to say that he was wrong, but there was just some things that he wanted or that they were trying to say to Cube that they were going to give to the black community that had already been asked for in different bills and legislations that they chose not to pass, right? So you're choosing not to pass these bills, right? But you got this election coming up and, you know, Cube is out there searching for answers to questions that he have. You get what I'm saying? So he's out there looking for answers to questions he has, but we don't know who initiated the sit down between the White House and Cuba, who he met with. I mean, maybe we do. I don't know. But it wasn't really defined that much. It wasn't really talked about that much. But at the same time, we don't know if Trump may have reached out or if the White House may have reached out and may have seen, or maybe he did, but took it as an opportunity to, hey, this is a good stand next to him type of moment, or seem it's good that we seem like we're approachable and that we actually really are trying for the black support, you know, to come across as though we're really trying, right? The problem with that is you gotta actually you gotta follow through, right? You gotta make sure that something like they knew he didn't know that there was bills that they didn't pass, so they was able to sit in his face and act like they were really interested and this was something new to them when actually it just was not new to them. And they were holding up bills not getting through, right? So it made it seem that like, and when you look back now, if you think about it, it's like, okay, so you were just using him. You knew that the press would pick it up. You knew that the press would incorrectly run the story as though Cube is supporting Trump. I think your people's even put out some stuff that made it imply that, and that just wasn't that just wasn't it. That just wasn't it. That just wasn't it. Even when I looked at the video of him explaining to me, I got it right away. I'm just like, yeah, makes sense to me. I mean, it's all, I mean, that's what politics is anyway. It's just us, the humble black people, who think that we are supposed to ask for something. It's only us, only us, only us that don't understand our value and our worth, and don't realize, yes, you need to ask for something. That's business. That's life. That's, you know, you get something for what you bring to the table, and not everything requires you to be a humble, meek person when you come in to get what's yours. I'm just saying. I'm just saying you can't be humble and meek and uh, even though that's the wrong word and the way y'all use it, but it's expected of us to play the good Negro role and not kick up and not make too much of a fuss and not do too much. And it's the reason why I, you know, when you see me play around with things and doing too much and all the other stuff because it's just a play or even the name. I don't even know if I even explain to you I'm just bougie or why I took on bougie. It was because I just got tired of people just every little thing made me bougie. Every little thing. Don't talk to me like that. No, you cannot call me a bitch. That made me bougie. It was like the stupidest shit, like made me bougie. So, and it wasn't nothing of like, oh, she thinks she better. I say things like, oh, I'm better than this. Like I don't, because I don't speak like that. But it was just like the stupidest things, like of self respect and expectations and having those things and carrying yourself a certain way that just automatically made people say. So I was like, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna take it. Because that's what I do. I take lemons and I make it into lemonade. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? So, as you can see, like I like that's just my personality. Like I'll piss you off because whatever you think you're gonna throw at me, I'm gonna take it. So that's that. I'm also thinking I don't have no tattoos. I don't have no tattoos, but I'm thinking about a specific tattoo, and it's gonna be right. Oh, it's gonna be on my middle finger. I'm thinking of a specific tattoo. I think I want. I think I really. I don't have any tattoos, but I think I'm ready for one because that's what I do. I take lemons and I make lemonade. You don't. You when people don't know you, you just make a joke out of them, and that's how I feel about that. But yeah, Ice Cube. Man, I feel him. I'm on that. Next 4 years, we're gonna vote Joe Biden and Kamala in. But you know they need to evolve. You only get 4 years. You're not gonna get that celebratory of 8 years, automatic of 8 years, because I personally will check out and campaign against you guys if you don't do right by the reparations conversation. Not telling us that you have a plan for us is very nice, but I want to know, make sure that we are in the first 100 days of your agenda. That's what we need to talk about. We need to talk about how the way y'all talk about it. Are we in the first 100 days of the agenda? That's what I want to know. If you are elected, what's up? What's the first thing you're doing? So start talking to me that way. Start talking to us that way to let us know it's real. We need some reassurance to let us know it's real. But I'm gonna play my song because, like I said, I just feel like you guys should be up to breast, like up to date on what's been going on. That I'm gonna play my son's response to him, and I'll tell you that my son had the best response in my opinion. I like the way he broke it down. I agree with him. You know, you do have to be wary about how someone can use you as a pawn. Not necessarily, you know, we know that you are trying to do right by us as black people, but he does switch what you're trying to do. He does switch your intentions to mean something else, and the way he'll use it is just not, it's not cool. But hold on. And getting money, and and my son made a great point when he was talking about getting like stimulus money, PPE money, and all the other stuff money. It's not enough. That's a temporary band-aid. And if you have people who are already you have people that are so behind the curve when it comes to economics in this country, that you throwing a little check at them. I want to make sure I say this right. You are just dingling a carrot, just a little sliver of a carrot in front of them, not the whole bunch, which meaning in the end you end up with nothing. You know, you don't have anything more than that little piece of the carrot. And once that runs out, you're back at square A. And no, we don't want to put ourselves in a situation that if you take a whole bunch of money from them, right? Because of mismanagement, whatever, they're not going to give you enough money that's going to last you a lifetime. You know what I mean? No matter what they decide to give or whatever happens with reparations, it's not going to be for a lifetime. This PPE money and all that, it's not for a lifetime. So, with that being said, with it not being for a lifetime, you don't want to be distracted by a little bit of money when you still have no seat at the table. You have no capital in this country. You're still not being looked at and treated. And I don't give a fuck how you look at me, but as long as you treat me like you're supposed to, this country is still not treating us the way they're supposed to, and that comes across the board in the judicial system, with police, and with work and all this stuff. So you have nothing basically. Yeah, you have a little bit right now. That's to pacify you. You know, welfare and housing and all these subsidy, and that's why I talk about the New Deal and all these programs and stuff. Those were the pacifiers from the past. And I'm saying, we don't want any pacifiers. We want straight up legislation. And you guys got to make that happen. we need straight up policies. We need a shift in drastic measures to be taken to protect and look out for us. Like we looked out for this country. Okay, so it. Hold on. Oh, so that's the ad. What is? Oh, here. All right, here we go. All right, there we go. And this is on the page Prophet Muscle shot him out. I don't want to make the assumption it's a he, but it is Prophet Muscle shot him out. But yeah, so just take a listen.
Shout out to Cube, man. Nothing but respect. I don't think he said anything that was wrong. I don't think I heard him a lot that was wrong. And I think what happened is what normally happens. Twitter and Instagram, will have an opinion. What I will say is, you can't cancel Ice Cube, right? That's Ice Cube. That's NWA Ice Cube. That's the brother who's been fighting for black people for fucking 20 plus years, if not more than that. So we're not going to ignore the reality that his intentions and his heart is in the right place, but we have to be careful about the enemy. We know that this enemy is strategic. We know that Donald Trump is strategic. We know that he will offer you everything and give you nothing. We know that he will utilize this clip right here to say that.
Workspaces are changing. Very.
And that's what's happening.
We know that because the National Black Caucus has been trying to meet with Trump since when he first started. He didn't even meet with us, right? He barely wanted to meet with the Black AP. You know what I mean? So this is a man that, if he was really committed to wanting to work on something, I really wanted to do something. And I mean, from the very beginning, they talked about how he wouldn't meet with them. Then he would be meeting with the people he needs to meet with to try to work something, to make something happen, right? He would be meeting with the leaders of the Democratic Party, new and old, that have the old who has a grasp on what's been going on, and the new who has a grasp on better what's change is coming, right? Because you're a 70-something-year-old man and you're fucking out of touch, right? If you were really committed to trying to make something happen, right, you'd be having meetings and talking with all these black people, like them or not, right? You come up with what you want to work on, and you get with the right people to kind of try to make that happen. That's how Congress works, right? How do you want to make something happen? I have this agenda, I have this bill, I have this promise, I have this what I want to do. We don't agree on everything, but I think you're the best person to sit down and talk and have a real conversation about that. He's never want to have a real conversation about any damn thing. He doesn't even want to have a real ass debate, right? So that's why he pulls out of the virtual debate, because someone will mute him and make him act civilized, and he doesn't want that, right? This man is a piece of work. This man is a piece of work. But when he talks about getting nothing, y'all remember fucking Steve Harvey took his ass down there to the Trump Tower. What was he doing down here? We still trying to figure out what Kanye getting. We know what Kim is getting. But what is Kanye getting? What did Kanye get from meeting with them? But they got a pass for meeting with him. I want y'all to pay attention. They got a pass from that, but y'all don't give Chrisette Michelle a pass for meeting with him. She just went to go get a bag, and he didn't even show up to where she went to perform. And y'all holding it against her as if though she's did as much as Kanye has. Even though Kanye has the mental health issues, but enough is enough. Kanye's been more detrimental than Chrisette Michele performing and getting a little bag. He's been more problematic. And there's that picking and choosing when it comes to supporting toxic behavior and problematic behavior. You're picking and choosing who you want to support. And that's some bullshit. I'm a Chrisette Michele fan. I forgave her immediately afterwards. I don't think she thought it was going to be that big a deal. I think if you look in the past, there's been a lot of Black people who performed at Republican affairs, and it just, people just played it off, didn't think nothing of it. She's one person. She's not millions of people who voted for one that voted for him, so you can't blame her. And I just felt like everybody was trying to blame her, but getting nothing. What has Kanye gotten? They've sat and talked with this man. What did Steve Harvey? I know he said he was going to work with him. I don't even know if that really happened, but Steve Harvey backed out of that real quick. So this man makes promises, so you can't think you're sitting down with a genuine person. I don't think you're sitting down with a genuine person who's going to really come through and fulfill. I mean, like I said, he'll fulfill a little punk with $1,200 we see now, 4, 5, 6 months now. So yeah, I mean, he'll come through that way. But it's the bigger picture. We can't get distracted by from the bigger picture. So.
Happened. And if you see this thing that's up there right now, it's my brother Angelo Pinto, and he made very valid point. He said, I don't think it's about canceling Cube. It's just about understanding that what he did is kind of dangerous, because we understand that proximity, they use proximity as an endorsement. The same way when Trump was talking about the Proud Boys, and he said, stand back, stand by. He didn't say, I endorse the Proud Boys. But we immediately heard it as, oh, you're not denouncing him, so that means you're endorsing them. That means that you are aligned with them. That means that their views are aligned with yours. So we immediately said, oh, look what you did. So we can't be hypocritical and not look at this situation and see how, to the naked eye, to someone who is not an Ice Cube fan, to someone who is not aware of Ice Cube's, plight and his stand for Black people throughout his career, to not look at this situation and then you see an endorsement. You see some.
I will say, I don't think that's a great example, because I think Trump does play around with when he decides to say whether or not he's going to support to support white nationalism and support all that stuff. He plays around when he's going to say it. He doesn't say it when you ask him straight up. He'll, I didn't say that. It's never boldly. It's never at big moments you need him to say it. So sometimes I feel like it gets swept under when he does kind of say it, because he makes a big deal of trying to skirt around just boldly saying, I don't mess with that. I don't believe in that. And why can't he say definitive words like I'm saying? And we haven't been able to get him to say that from Charlottesville to now. So I hear you on, we think we heard, but no, we know what we're hearing through his actions and how he chooses to sometimes say he doesn't, and then most times he lets it ride if it's going to benefit him. So
someone from his administration praising Ice Cube for working, quote unquote, working with the president, and that's how this situation pans out. This is what Trump he's been famous for doing it. He did it to Kanye. He did it to the Black preachers. He did it to many celebrities, in which he sits in rooms and he comes out and he shakes your hand and he takes pictures and he gives you nothing. And that's all it is. It ends up with nothing more than just a photo op that transfers into absolutely nothing. So this is what I think people are seeing, and I think this is the opportunity not to cancel Ice Cube, because you can't cancel Cube, but to pull him in and say, Cube, there's a lot of people on the ground that act.
The fact that I get so pissed that people think they can cancel you, or people think that they have the right to they have the right to just decide what you can and speak about and all this other stuff. I think Lord Jamar did an excellent. Is it Lord Jamar? No, it was David Banner with an interview or sit down he did with Angela Rye, and he was just talking about it ain't disrespectful because you question somebody. What type of ignorant ass shit like is that? That anybody? We're not mama and daddy within the black culture that y'all feel like people are above approach. Disrespectful? What? Because you got a question? I remember one time, and this is why I personally, I was messing with the NAACP in the Boston chapter, and I just remember the head at the time was feeling like he was. It was like he was beyond approach. Like you can't question, or you can't ask any questions, or you can't have a critique or any of that, because if you are, you're going against the agenda and you're not trying to be helpful if you point something out that may be incorrect. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a weird way of thinking that in the black culture that because someone is even a celebrity, and we do it across the board. I mean, we do it white people, we do it in general. Celebrities are put on a pedestal, but even in this celebrity world of just everyday people, we're talking about politicians, and we're talking about, I mean, it's politicians are celebrities, so we go below that. We're talking about mayor, well, that's still politician. I'm gonna go city councilors because I think that I'm gonna go as low as city councilors to clergymen to just your local hotep ass old person in your neighborhood, community leader. There's this desire to put them on a pedestal that because they're coming along and speaking on matters that they can't be questioned, right? Who are you? They putting in the work. What do you mean? What work? You mean speaking on some shit? And that's not. I'm not trying to say discredit anybody who's actually put in work and do things behind the scene. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with being questioned or asking questions or taking some critique or just hearing what else someone else has to say that may be a little different than what you have to say, right? There's no growth that happens with surrounding yourself with all the same minded people. There's just not. I personally, there's just none. I personally know now that me personally, when it comes to like surrounding, like if you can't stimulate my brain, like there's just no reason I should be around you because, like I said, I'm fine with being quiet, but clearly you don't get to see the best of my personality. But I'm also not good in situations where I know I'm different. That's a period. I know I'm different. Especially being in Boston, I'm different, right? Because the way I think, and I've already said I'm conservative minded, been that way. I can't even think of a time I wasn't. As my positions and my interests in history and all that stuff, that goes so far back. That goes back to like second grade in memorizing Dr. Martin Luther King poems, and eventually you're remembering things like the preamble. I'm that nerdy with it, right? So it's so deep for me. You know what I'm saying? Like I cried when I couldn't vote in like that first election. That was, I think, the election Bush won that first year. I cried. Like I've been that type. I'm that type of nerdy, geeky person. So a lot of conversations don't interest me, right? With that being said, I meet people where who they are, and that's fine, and I enjoy that too. I enjoy that part of it. Like I enjoy that. I'm not gonna lie. So I don't want to be talking about history and this shit all the time because I've always like, I've had shows that has an outlet for me and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily feel like I need that in my personal relationships with a whole bunch of people. I'm pretty, and it's not the time for it all the time for me. That's that. And I'm not into arguing with fools, and that's not to say I run across just fools, but if you know who you can link up and have a dope conversation with, and that person's open-minded, and you're talking to a wall. Sorry. And if I meet you and you come across as a wall, meaning that you're not open to listening, I'm not gonna waste too much energy on that. I ain't time for that. Who got time for that? If you think I'm on here trying to save the world and change the minds of the world, you know what I mean? But I say that to say my personality and being around people, you gotta understand, I know a lot of people's not gonna get where I'm coming from, so I will disappear in the sense of not say too much and leave it all for the show. And that's where, for me, I leave it all at. And I think that's where sometimes a miss in my personality is because could you handle it? Could you handle it? Could we have a conversation where you could get all of this? You know what I'm saying? So, and those who can, we have dope conversations, and that's just that. Let's finish listening to my song.
Actually do this work. You have Tamika Mallory's, you have Angela Rise that you can talk to. You have people like Charlamagne who are in tune with people who've been on the ground. You have the activists that are...
Okay, I will say this though, as my song points out some people who can be elevated in the space of being community people to listen to. I think there could be some more elevation of Black women in terms of just outside of Tamika Mallory and Angela Rye. Angela Rye is on TV. I feel like it's important to highlight people in these neighborhoods, and these popular people on these social media sites that are really getting it and highlighting those. And I always say that it's really important that those who are on are bringing up the right people to put them on, and that also helps pave the way for us so much. And so if you have an eye to see talent somewhere that is that helps us as a people move forward to the next step, it's very important to call that out, because it is disheartening to hear that Cardi B is out here speaking for us. Not to say that Cardi B shouldn't speak, but I think Joe Biden and Kamala Harris should have some more options of women who talk that shit and know what they're talking about, that really do represent the Black women. And I said, even if you want to make sure you get someone that's young and involved and knows what they're talking about, they could have called Kiki. Kiki's always out here for a job and always y'all can call Kiki. Call Kiki. Call Kiki's ass. But really call somebody that really represents us and that's young and smart and stuff like that. That's really important. And at the end of the day, as much as people want to get upset, I don't call Cardi B. And I like her music, and it's going to be interpreted as though someone hates her and all this other stuff, because if you have an opinion that's opposing and it's not the popular opinion, it automatically means you hate that person, and that's not me. So if it seems like you're going to tune in, you're going to be, oh, I know I'm going to figure out who she hates, and it really is not, because I'm going to go back and forth on what makes sense about whatever comes up in the conversation. So yeah, that's that for me.
From Ferguson, you have activists who are in Louisville, you have activists who are in Wisconsin, where we are right now, that are in Minneapolis. You have people who are on the ground that you can reach out to and have conversations with and say, how do I go about this? How do I go about this? Because you said it's about the community, it's about all Black people, it's about us. So in order for us to speak on behalf of Black people, we have to have a cabinet. You have to bring other great minds like yourself. You're a great mind. You have to bring other minds who are great as you, or if not greater, to the table and say, what is the procedure that we need to utilize to get this done, in which it benefits all of us? Because there's no one of us that can speak on behalf of getting everything for all of us. That's impossible. So this is a time to pull Cuban and say, hey, reach out. Brothers who are actually doing this work on the ground right now, on the front lines doing that work. Understand, like you said, you studied the history. Understand the history of what Donald Trump has done. How he's utilized, Kanye to make it seem like he's endorsed. Like how he's utilized the Black preachers to make it seem like they've endorsed him. And they're utilizing the same playbook.
And he's absolutely right. I mean, we've seen he's absolutely right. We've seen pictures come out with, like I said, groups that make their ass down to Washington D.C. that gets that picture moment. They get promised money, and maybe they do get some money, but it's really not. It hasn't been substantial. And it's always like he's not Santa Claus, okay, with the purse. So it's not been really substantial. But at the times where Black clergymen and clergy people went down there and take pictures with him, leaders of HBCUs have went down there and take pictures of him with him and stuff like that. It's all for the optics. It was all like even having Omarosa on his staff. Yeah, and we know how that ended. You know what I'm saying? Who else did he have Black? Ben Carson. That's a joke. weirdly enough, I think I heard, I'm gonna have to double check that I heard that he's actually doing a good job. I mean, I'm gonna have to double check. I don't know, I think I heard he was actually killing it. I'm gonna double check on that. But at the same time, if he got lucky, he got lucky there. But he was putting people in positions and things that just didn't make sense, right? But at the same time, did he surround himself with people that could really speak to the Black agenda? If he was really committed to actually doing something for the Black people, he didn't run talking to us and trying to tell us that he was going to do something for us. So why would he be in there trying to do anything different? He didn't make no promises. He made no promise. He made promises to them people, the other people who voted him in. And when the president, I mean, allegiance, right? Allegiance. That's all. And it's so funny because Trump, well, I believe everything his niece and his sister says about him. But I mean, there's video that shows that he didn't even really consider himself a Republican. That he, like, way back in the day said that, or they asked him if he ran for president, who would he run? And he said the Republican Party, because I think he said something about it's easy to manipulate. I don't know. He said something crazy. I'm gonna find it for you, but it was something crazy he said about the Republican Party and why he chose them. I think he said it was just it's easy to. I'm gonna find it clip. I don't want to keep it. Let me keep playing.
Book over and over. So of course we know you're not endorsing them. You're trying to get what you can for Black people, but we have to ask ourselves at what cost. If they decide to give us $500 billion with no power, it's like a drug dealer in the hood. It's a drug dealer in the hood that probably got $100 million, but he can't own no property because he ain't got no pay stubs. He don't really have no power. You can have money and have absolute zero power. And I think that's the strategy that Trump utilizes. He's willing to give you money. He's willing to give you a stimulus check. He's willing to say how much money you need. I pay him. But he's not willing to put any Blacks in position of power. He's not willing to put Blacks, especially from our community, that speak to the heart of our culture like you do. He's not willing to put people who he knows have Black people's interests at heart in position. Yep. He'll put a Black face that is willing to uphold white supremacy in position. We've seen that. He got the Daniel Camerons. We see that. We see Ben Carson. We've seen Omarosa. We've seen the people that he's willing to put around him that present Black, but don't have any Black solidarity with the real Black culture and the Black issues that we deal with every day. So when we understand that, we have to say, is $500 million even worth it? Are we willing to empower white supremacy more by taking money? Because you can take money with no power, but your voice can empower. Not saying you do, but your voice saying anything to promote him can empower white supremacy, and that's what he's doing. He's stacking these Supreme Courts. He's stacking the Justice Bar. He put over 200 people in office, and none of them are Black, in positions that will affect our lives. So he's creating a cabinet. He's playing chess, and we're playing checkers. We're like, give us the money. And he's like, yeah, you can get the money. Go ahead, cool. And he's putting all these pieces in position to where he's going to be so fortified. If we go 4 more years of
and that's the problem. And that's why I have a problem with the Democratic Party, because it doesn't seem like we play to win. It doesn't seem like we play to win. And it's aggravating as hell. I remember when Al Franklin, whatever his name is, I remember when it came time to decide on whether or not they were going to ask him to leave. And I remember sitting there, I did not think that we should have asked them to leave. And that's not to say I'm passing judgment on all the particulars of the case, but I just felt like there was just so many outrageous, disgusting people that stay in Congress that have done some things that have not been kicked out. We don't play politics, right? We are trying to be. I feel like the Democratic Party tries to be. How can I say? A clergy politician. It just seems like we try to operate in the do the right thing, and I don't want to sound like I'm trying to advocate for do the wrong thing, but it's politics. It's politics, and you can't think you're going to get ahead when the other person is willing to do any and everything and don't care about the morality clause or that you have that they don't have. Right? And it just seems sometimes that, like I said, I'm not trying to say I think Al didn't need to be spoken to, but I just think that I didn't think that he should have left. And there's just times I feel like we back down. Like even when it came to filling the seat for the Supreme Court. Granted, we didn't have the votes then, so there was nothing that we could really push. But look at their rhetoric. Oh, they're willing to change their mind now. It's all good to move forward. They'll do what's best for them. And sometimes I feel like I wish the Democratic Party had more of the eye of the tiger like that to kind of do what's best for them, right?
Trump, he might not leave the White House. He might not leave the White House now, but he will be so much stronger because he has put so many pieces in place to where it's nothing that you can do to get him out of office. There's no vote you can have because he will have completely monopolized the government. He's creating a dictatorship. He's putting all his pieces on the board. And he's sacrificing pawns. Money to him is a pawn. There's nothing. He's got millions. He's seen millions go. He understands the reality is that power is not money. He understands that. He can give you money and you can have absolutely no power with a bunch of money. How many rich people you know that don't have any power? So yes, we definitely have to worry about finances, Q. And that's one of the things we definitely need to focus on. But we have to understand that we can't be given trinkets. We can't be given money without power to do anything for it. So, my brother, I appreciate you. And everybody talking about Ice Cube endorsed Donald Trump. He did not endorse Donald Trump. But Donald Trump did what Donald Trump does. He's playing chess. He'll take any positive towards him and he'll utilize it as an endorsement. So moving forward, my brothers, sisters, whoever, be careful because the devil is always working. The greatest trick of the devil is convincing the world that he didn't exist.
Yep.
So Trump is doing what he's supposed to do. He's doing what he's always done. We have to do something different.
I'm the son of Roger Mayweather.
All right, so that was that. So those are my thoughts on it. Like, I totally agree with Mysonne that, this president is so dangerous that, one, he can't keep his word. Hold on one second. One, he can't keep his word, and it's just one, he can't keep his word, and two, the way he uses it is just not beneficial, and it's propaganda the way he uses it's propaganda. That's all. It's just bad. It's just bad. It's just all bad, but most definitely I agree with Mysonne. You want to look at the bigger picture. You know what I mean? So that's like that picture when they come in, you hit the Mega Millions or whatever, and they come and ask you, do you want this big lump sum of money or do you want this small increments of money? And you got to really sit back and think, what am I going to be able to get the most out of this money? Like, how am I going to get the most out of this money, right? And for us, a check right now, more stimulus and all that other stuff, that's just not the long game. We don't want that. So we want to start playing chess. You're going to say not checkers like the Republican Party does. So, and be open about it. They are so open and blazing about it that it pisses me off about the Democrats. It pisses me the hell off. And I was like, what the hell? But that's why I like the new energy that's in the Democratic Party and that's in Congress because, they talk that shit. So I'm with it. So, I'm going to go ahead and sign off on that one. I'm going to do probably like 3 more videos. I'm going to sit here and just do 3. All right, y'all. So if this is your first time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Again, tell me what you think. What I want to know is if you are, what do you agree with Ice Cube? Do you think, that we need to, be more aggressive and ask about what we want? Do you think he was supporting Trump? And do you agree with Mysonne's response of what he thinks about it? And also, I want to hear what you think about Mysonne's response in terms of, like, do you understand why he says we can't support Trump, even though we do want more? You know what I mean? But, Cube has the right mindset. I will say that. He has the right mindset. All right, so that's all from me. Y'all know how we're going to do. We keep it bougie and posh over here, and I am out.